something that's really weird about this as well is that you see like the officer aboard. They're like, "Oh, you're wounded, soldier. Get back on here. We'll take care of you." It's like, why are you characterizing like the space fascists like this? And that they like, why are you presenting them as being like oddly sympathetic?
And then if you're gonna do that, why do you then show your hero indiscriminately annihilate them? Like, if you're gonna do that.
We're not there yet, okay? I didn't even talk about the war crime comes later, okay?
So I didn't even notice the things that you guys just brought up about the ship, like they should have detected it, because I was just distracted by their plan is to like fly up there, which means that the idea of two injured soldiers fleeing combat and returning in a dropship that has guns on it to the Dreadnought is normal, which like there is no way that that's the case. Under the Imperium, it's going to be a case of you land and you fight. I don't care if your leg's on fire. Like you fight. You don't take a dropship back to the Dreadnought with two guys in it who have just got shot. That's in the foot. Like that's not going to be a thing.
If they'd had them say like, "Are you cowards? Running from the battle?" It's like we're injured. It's like I just asked you if you're running away. Like it's some kind of dialogue that makes us think like, "Oh, they're assholes." But they don't do that.
Instead of like. Oh, like if they were soldier, get back on here. You've done your duty. Why would you write them this way? Why would you write the space fascists like this?
Also, do you also think it's weird that because they get taken in remotely, that they just go to a completely different hangar apparently, and not just the same one?
I mean, maybe that was the reason why they pretended like the ship was damaged, so they go to the ship repair hangar, maybe?
I mean, yeah, I just find... I've never seen this before.
It's definitely weird, yeah.
It just feels weird.
But right after this, where you have the bad guys being oddly sympathetic about the welfare of their own soldiers, you cut to Titus standing in the barn, having watched all of the villagers up front get slaughtered. Just sitting there waiting. It's so weird. Why would you write your heroes like this? That they just stand by and watch as a bunch of villagers get slaughtered.
Yeah.
And then they decide, all right, now's the time that we're going to go out and fight.
Also, of all the things they put bombs on, they don't put any bombs on this small bridge where there's like 50 soldier on you could kill instantly.
Really?
It gets even worse than that because you've got like you've got General Titus who's there like, all right, come on, let's do our war speech and then we're going to run in. And then here you've got Tarak, he's just, instead of going out at the same time, he's like, he sees what Titus is doing. He goes, all right, we can't let them die to save us. Why are we going and we'll fight? And it takes like a good 10 seconds to do, during which time Titus and his guys are getting presumably killed.
Is it not insane that the way that the Severed Samurai hero guys orchestrated their plan was such that the only time when they would get involved in the fight was after a bunch of the villagers had already been slaughtered and the soldiers were moving into the village. I just find it insane that their plan is tiered in such a way that it condemns certain villagers to death, while the hero protagonist guys stand around and just watch this happen. It's crazy. I don't know why it would be written like this. That brings us to one of the most bizarre scenes that Snyder has ever created. So basically, Korra's plan was that they were to trick the medics on board the ship that they were injured soldiers, and the medics are like, "All right, you're wounded. We got you. We're gonna take good care of you." They put them on the bed with wheels. I can't remember what it's They wheel. And then they wheel them into the elevator and they say, we're going to do a visual inspection on the elevator. Imagine if they had done one not in the elevator in front of all of the soldiers. But then they're like, yeah, all right, we're going to take care of them. We're going to take care of them. Wait a minute. And then she kills them. Korra just kills the medics, unarmed medics. This is a war crime. Plain and simple.
It is, and I pointed out on Twitter as well. It's like you're 90 minutes into your film and the protagonist has so far killed an innocent child and some doctors.
Pretty cool.
This is crazy. It's so weird that you present the Imperium as having these medics who are like, our fellow wounded comrades, we're going to take good care of you, and the hero murders them, by deceiving them into thinking that they were helping their friends when she's there to kill them and kill everybody aboard. They don't have weapons. She just killed medics, and she's meant to be the protagonist of the story. What the hell? Why did you do this?
There's another film.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there's another character in a certain film that's pretty different to this one, where a similar thing happens. the character basically disguises themselves as someone who is badly injured, and then reveals that actually they're fine.
I know what
and
you're
then
doing.
kills. Yeah, and that character is Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs.
The serial killing person eating monster did exactly what she did.
There's even an exact shot in Rebel Moon where she when they realize, hey, they take the mask off and then they look at her and then her eyes open and she kind of lifts her head up, and I was thinking, why are we doing Silence of the Lambs? Because I swear that shot
Zach,
there, I swear that happened.
Do you remember who the good guys and bad guys are in that scene, Zach? Because the crazy part is as well, lots of little details. You can make this scene go in multiple ways, right? She could pull out her gun and say, all of you, get against the wall, that sort of thing, But no, that doesn't happen. They look shocked, and then she wraps her leg around one, shoots him, shoots another one, shoots. And it's just like...
They're all unarmed. They're all unarmed medics. And the reason they're fighting, again, it's like you said, why didn't she just pull out the gun and say, don't move? Instead, it's no, she just murders them.
Well, and why don't they have any guards anyway? Because you would think
the one guy has a gun, but that's the only one, I think.
I don't think any of them have guns, do they?
No, I think she pulls a gun off a corpse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see. No, wait, it looked like she grabbed it out of her, she had the gun on her side, on her leg.
Well,
she whipped it out of her leg.
Yeah, there just now, she has a gun, and then she grabs another one, and I think gives it to Gunnar. Unless she keeps both of them.
Yeah, it's definitely coming out of a holster from one of the medics.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. Still a war crime.
Well, I mean, it's not unusual that a medic would have a sidearm. That's perfectly fine.
No, that's right. Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy that this is what the protagonist has done. She killed a bunch of medics who were trying to help her, but she deceived them.
There's something that I kind of want to highlight here. Basically, Cora has wandered out not in disguise. She does Guna keeps the uniform on. She does not wear a helmet of any kind.
Nope.
And because she decided to not do that, whilst being the most wanted criminal or fugitive in the universe, that directly leads to Guna getting killed. Because if she was wearing a disguise, then essentially what we're about to get into would not have gone down the way that it went down, which would mean that Admiral Noble would never have been notified that there was a woman in the coal shoveling room, which would mean that he then wouldn't have, he wouldn't have taken any action because he would have never known that she was there, which means that Guna would have never got shot. So her not wearing a mask gets Guna killed, which somewhat dampens the emotional impact.
We need to see her
That
face,
is true.
So...
That is true.
Right. Yeah.
It's main character time.
Yeah. Also, right after the scene, very weird. So they just took the elevator here together, disguised, okay, we bedded here. And then she tells him, okay, go back to the ship and keep it running. There's another elevator over there you can take to get back to the ship. I was like, why did he come up here? He just went up and now he goes back to the ship.
Yeah, maybe he should have just said, nah, I'm all good, guys. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I mean, I guess if he'd done that, they could have been like, right, what? Off you go, back to the surface.
It would be
why
funny
are you
if
here?
Hide somewhere in the ship, anything. It's just
I suppose,
weird.
yeah.
Or he could claim he's doing repairs, right? He'd be like, I know what's wrong with the ship. Just give me a sec. Well,
true. And
there's a problem. There's a smoke attached to it. Oops.
Yeah, he does actually know what's wrong with the ship, so he could actually pretend to have fixed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could have done that.
Well, that's the thing. Did anyone actually get a look at that ship when they intended to? Because they would have been like, where's the smoke coming from? It's like a smoke grenade.
Yeah, I guess they would have realized, but they just didn't show it, so it didn't happen. Yeah.
I don't know. Next time we see him, he's just back on the ship, and he's like, oh, we're running out of time. And it's like, what time are you running out of? I don't even know what's happening.
Why are you doing this, Zach? Who's forcing you to do this?
Well, and who was forcing him to have Cora jump down and just start killing all of the guys shoveling coal into the engines?
Oh my god.
They don't even get a chance to be aware of what's going on. Basically, a guard's there, she shoots him, he falls down, and then she instantly jumps down and starts firing at them. All they have are shovels. That's all they've got.
I just want to mention, I hate the editing on this part. The fact she's placed the bombs and then it just cuts to him halfway through the catwalk, admiring things, and then being like, weird. Wait a minute. Something. It's like you would have noticed that straight away. And then it cuts to her being like, wait a minute. I think I can sense something behind me. And then he goes, wait a minute. There's something that's definitely in front of me. Hang on just a second. And then she slowly turns around. I was like, why have you edited this so bloated? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, why does it take this long? Why is it like this?
Why are you like this?
There's the coal.
Oh, the slow motion.
And apparently it's very soft coal because she uses it to land safely.
Just kick that guy in, and it's like all that's happened from this guy's perspective is he was in here shoveling coal, and some woman has jumped down and started killing everybody
after killing someone else.
Back and then gets kicked into a furnace to be cooked alive.
I find it like go on, sorry.
Reasonable to suppose that these people are slaves. So we've established that the Mother World uses slave labor. So why would it not be using slaves on its ship? So I'm going back to the hamburgers back story. You know, if Cora had come to quote unquote save these people, she just swings in and guns them all down in the name of liberation.
Yeah.
But even if they're not slaves, even if they're like Cora basically, well, presumably Cora would know this because she's ex Imperium military, but whether they're slaves or not, she has essentially decided that everyone who exists, who operates under the Imperium is Satan. The doctors, the pilots, and these poor buggers who are shoveling coal in a spaceship, all of them must die, so says the woman who used to be one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, and the only reason that she's defected is not because she actually had some, like, realization that they were evil, but that she doesn't want to get more punished for the crime that she definitely did.
Yeah, she was forced to defect, basically. She was betrayed by Belisarius. Had that not happened, she would have continued living under the Imperium. She saw no problem with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so, like, balked. It's so balked. And she's meant to be, like, the protagonist.
It's meant to be a story of redemption, and it isn't, because the ending, third of her story of redemption is placing bombs on a semi-sentient star god, throwing coal miners into a furnace and killing doctors.
I like that there's still people like they really use shovels to pour coal into the engine for the starship. It's like, there's just
like the Titanic. Just imagine the Titanic where you have the guy shoveling coal into the engine. That is what it is.
It's so stupid though that it's just nobody will ever believe that that's happened if they don't see it. Like it's just that's just not a thing.
They should have made a deal with the coal mining people. They should have found a coal mining planet and made a deal with them in exchange for like machinery that will help them pump the coal in a more efficient manner, like robots. Which is exactly the deal that they tried to make with the villagers in part 1.
Yeah. Also, just imagine the amounts of coal they would need to actually do anything.
It would be
boggles the mind.
And why would they even use coal engines if they've enslaved a space god that gives them infinite energy?
I don't know. Maybe it just gets cold.
Maybe it eats the coal,
piss, man. Snyder is like actually taking the piss. He really is.
Stop right there, Snyder. What are you doing? The storytelling police.
You see him turn around and he's holding a bunch of jars of piss. What? And then he says it's Granny's peach tea. And see, look, you gotta understand. When he flips the picture over, you see the demons come from the sky, the parademons. It's like Paradise Lost. He's such a cringe filmmaker. Like it's just holy crap.
Well, we've spoken about it before, but he's destroyed his reputation with a lot of people now. Thanks to Rebel Moon 1 and 2.
Well, especially if he keeps talking about his extended director's cuts that'll fix everything. Oof. It's getting really, really, really annoying. Oh, but man, this scene, like, how does this scene not completely obliterate the movie even more so than before? That, like, there's an officer in the engine room who says that Cora's on the ship, and she shoots him in the back as he's on the phone, of course, as you do. And then Noble's like, "Yeah, we don't need the grain. Blow up the village." What the hell?
There's no cameras in their engine room because they're like trying to confirm whether or not a thing is happening. It's like that's impossible. It's just like just open up a screen. No, do we not have that kind of technology again? Okay, fine, it's fine.
I can't believe that he's just like, yeah, we got to destroy the grain. We can destroy the grain. It's fine. What the hell? So, everything about the way that the battle is played out was predicated on the notion that you needed the grain so much that you were willing to risk the lives of all of the soldiers on your ship to not destroy it. And yet you're like, oh, we don't need it. So you never needed it. So why would you come to this village? Why would you come to a tiny little village just to mess with a bunch of people? Why?
Like the way that it's played out essentially means that
of people.
It essentially means that they no longer need the grain because they got a bunch of their men killed, which means that their incompetence led to them not needing the very thing that kicked off this story to begin with.
And to be fair, I'm pretty sure that's just something he's saying, because the explicit reason he gives is we have the Scargiver on board now, so we don't need the grain. Like, that's what he says, and then the guy's like, well, wait, if we shoot, we're going to hit our own men. And he's like, yeah, less people to have to feed. Like that seems like an additional cope. It doesn't seem like the actual point he's making, which is we only ever wanted the Scargiver. It's like, no, you didn't, you liar. That's not at all what you said.
But the premise in part one is that the only reason they needed the grain is because they were here to conduct a long and exhaustive search hunting down the Rebel Alliance, which they're no longer doing. Now they are just here for Korra. So they never needed the grain. They could have blown it up from the beginning. And at the moment, he's talking about, like, though I must bring her back alive. But now he's about to flip and say, well, if I say that I killed her in battle, it sounds even better. In which case, you should have just orbitally bombarded them.
Yep.
Holy
straight
shit.
away. Like, there is
you're
no
right.
reason for any of this.
Well,
you're right.
Funny
Yeah,
is if they
when they go and fight each other, he says that.
Sorry, if they had threatened to do that, and then Titus or Korra said, you'll never do that because you want the grain, and just be like, just fire one shot at one building. I assume they have the ability to do that. They don't have, like, the only form is just a massive destruction thing. And then be like, oh shit, you called our bluff. They'd be like, yeah, so give us her. And then they do, and then he just says, yeah, now blow it all up. Like, that's what I would... There's no use of efficiency at all for these idiots.
Nope. It's just all dumb.
But they look spooky and scary, and they're going to kill a bunch of innocent people, because that's what they do.
Or try, but it takes their gun about 15 hours to aim at a stationary village. Because they need to get a lock on the barn, because the barn is moving around really quickly.
Snyder's method of solving problems in his stories is really funny, because he would rather, like, once the idea like exists on paper, it's like he refuses to change it, and he'll just try to find, like, the easiest answer to keep it the way that it is, but doesn't realize that it creates a whole slew of new problems. It's just because he wants this one-on-one sword fight and Guna to have been mortally wounded. That's it. So they can have this fight while they're sliding down the ship.
Was it you or Gary who brought up, like, it just immediately evokes the end of Deadpool? It's like, yeah, another movie you copy. It's the same actor as well.
Right. It's funny because they fought on a helicarrier that ended up getting destroyed and sliding, so they had to fight while they were sliding down. It's like, oh... Man. And then the same actor in this movie is sliding down this ship, having a sword fight, except it's way worse. Because, like, it's just like, look at all of the debris. Look at all of the things that should be hitting them. Look at how dangerous this is.
What is it to say about this? This fight is so stupid. It's well beyond. It is 110% a Zack Snyder sequence where everything is insane nonsense. They're fighting with, and it's like they're totally not lightsabers, and it's just like, can you stop, please?
Well, yeah, this did begin as a pitch for what he thought would be a mature Star Wars, which is hilarious.
It's so funny to me that he thinks Rebel Moon is Star Wars but mature. That is so funny.
Yeah. Like, Star Wars is more mature than Rebel Moon.
I want Tony Gilroy's opinion of Rebel Moon.
I'm not even talking about Andor. Like, the original trilogy is more mature than this in terms of, like, meaningful subject matter.
Yeah.
I think the prequels are more mature than this.
Yeah, actually, I think so.
It says on the cover of the novelizations, for mature readers.
Oh, God.
No, pretty sure it isn't.
Isn't it crazy that, like, he's nearly 60 years old, but yet, like, he is just a teenager in terms of his attitude to storytelling? It hasn't changed at all.
If he was making good movies, then he'd be like, yeah, cool, make good movies in that style. But he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, he's gotten worse. I think there's no getting around that. Like, the worst films that he's made are the most recent things that he's done.
Yeah.
Army of the Dead, these two movies, the Snyder Cut. These are, like, the worst things that he's made. Well, except Man of Steel and Sucker Punch sort of sitting there in the middle, just, like, being like, oh, wow, okay. But even then...
Snyder himself, though, Rebel Moon is as popular as Barbie.
Oh, my God.
I remember finding out about this.
Oh, silly Zach.
Yeah. Why don't you walk everybody through his rationale for that?
The actual quote is, you think about Netflix where you push a button, Rebel Moon, say right now it's 90 million views, 80 or 90 million accounts turned it on, he said of Rebel Moon on Netflix, and they assume, if you assume 2 viewers per screen, so if you double the number that they actually give you, then it gives you 160 million people, and if you assume they all paid $10 for a movie ticket, it's $1.6 billion, and that's basically more than saw Barbie. That's
what
his.
level
Sure,
of
that's how you
delusion do you
can
have to have
pretend
to
to.
believe that your movie that nobody was talking about was more successful than the most successful film of last year? What level of delusional do you have to be to say that with a straight face?
We haven't talked about Sophia Boutella. I forget.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sophia Boutella, yep.
I find it to be not fantastic. This would be one of the moments that really stood out to me, is her mortally wounded love sliding down the crashing ship.
Just looking.
And look at her face afterwards. She's like, well.
Shit.
Well, that just happened.
She is not great.
It was awkward. It was just like, ooh, maybe we
It's really awkward when Nemesis Lady, with the pretty small amount of screen time that she has, imbues her character with way more emotion through her performance than this lady does for having all of the screen time.
In her defense, though, how do you react to this shit?
You don't even know what the fuck's going on.
Much going
what
on.
was the direction here? What was
Oh,
So,
yeah,
guys, listen,
she
you
totally
are inside
dies
a dragon.
here.
show him.
We're crashing at almost free fall momentum, and then he like throws her during that, and she goes. Look at the way she slams into the bottom of the ship. It just looks like it's like that's dead.
Yeah.
You don't get
that's
like
GG.
if you
That's game
land,
over.
let's say on your side, I'd still be like that's got to be major. But look where she lands. This is possibly the worst. It's like on her spine.
You don't need your spine in
Or
space.
rather, her neck. Like, the bottom of her neck, specifically, is where all the force goes.
Yeah.
I feel like you might be dead from that, actually.
Nobody cries for anybody, which is like, it all contributes to the feeling like none of these characters are acting like human beings. Whereas, like, the authentic emotion in response to what it... Like, you won, sure, but so many in your village died. How come they're all just standing there? How come nobody's, like, breaking down into tears or like, really distraught or angry? They all just sort of stand there like emotionless robots. They're like, oh, we're a bit sad, but we're okay. You should be a lot more upset.
There is one mention of MODOK in this film, and only one. It's kind of surprising that there is only one, because he was the village leader. Which is when the villagers are like, it's either when they're going out with Tarak or
Titus. Titus is the one who says, for all the things you love for Sindri. But you never met him. How do you know what he's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Keep his name out your mouth, all right?
I think we were talking about this when we were watching it at the time, but it's so funny they do the whole, like, I am choosing to join you in your fight. Me too. Me too. The robot's just like, I'm programmed to, so...
Yeah, I have to.
I don't even have a choice. Like, it's such a weird thing to do.
The arc with the robot is that he makes the choice to help, not, well, I got no choice. I have to. I'm a slave to my programming. It's weird.
I want to talk to Zach about stuff like that, because it'd be like, you get the basic writing meaning of characters being like, I'm going to come with you. It's like, oh, yeah, nothing impressive, but, normal. And then just one character announcing, I don't get to do anything meaningful here because it's just what I'm supposed to do. Like, it'd be like, Zach, that's just worse. Like, that's just not something you want to put in.
I mean, it's not exactly subtle. This ending, basically the whole purpose of this ending is the pitch for the next movie. It's their quest. They're going to go out back into the galaxy.
Well, of course, the final Rebel Moon movie will be defeating Belisarius and the Imperium, right? And bringing freedom to the world
of the 6 Rebel Moon films, yeah.
And then they go back to the moon and do more grains. Peaceful grain farmers. Dude, when they says like the princess is actually still alive, I was like, yeah, whatever.
Nobody cares.
Let's just sure.
Nobody cares at all.
And so, we got it confirmed. He, it wasn't a fluke with the first one. He's just awful.
It's just horrible.
Except, unlike with Army of the Dead, this one has like actually people have noticed.
Yeah, even
really
like reviewer outlets are saying this is just
that's
terrible.
Yeah, what does this have on Rotten Tomatoes? Like a 10?
Oh,
like 14% or something.
Yeah, and the Metacritic score for Part 2 was 36, which is very low. I feel like you rarely see films get that. It's red on Metacritic. That's how low
it's
it is.
red.
It is red. How many positive reviews does it have on Metacritic? 1. It's got 1, and it's a 6.7.
Damn.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's very bad.
And you know what? Like, for all the references we made to other things, it's not just that he has no original ideas. It's more so that he can't render them into something meaningful. Like, because I don't mind taking inspiration. This great stuff we get out of stuff like that all the time in all the different places. But he just doesn't know what works about anything that he's seen, but he wants to be like it.
And this feels like kind of it's almost like critical mass, right? Of like the Snyder approach to storytelling, of just sort of grabbing a bunch of things that you've seen before that you like you said, that he doesn't understand, throwing them together in the biggest, loudest, slowest way possible. Yeah.
Well, it pretty much takes everything that was complete piss about part 1 and dials it up to 11.
No.
Yeah, kind of. It's like with the first one, it's pretty dull and tedious for sure, and really stupid as well. But it's like setup, right? This is like all of the payoffs, and the payoffs are garbage. And now it's, the story is complete. As much as they're teasing like that there'll be, more, we'll see about that. But this story is complete, and it's like, wow, what a waste of time that was.
If Rebel Moon 3 ever gets made, now it's in serious trouble, because the IP is just known to be absolute dog shit, but also all the stuff he's established to have his stories in the first 2 are just going to get in the way of him in the 3rd part now. Everything to do with the operations of every faction, their energy, their weapons, their interests, their motivations. Like, he's going to forget all of it and do something else again. He's just going to be like, I don't know, this is fucking happening now.
Yeah, because he can't. Well, you say there's no way he has the patience to stick with any of the ideas that he's come up with. Like, he doesn't even have enough patience to do it within the films themselves. What did Snyder say about the what was his thing that he said about, like, if you don't support my films, you get like Marvel stuff?
Pretty much.
Oh, it's just
focus groups.
Focus groups.
What a terrible defense of your own work, Yeah. It's like, hey, look,
you don't support me, things will be even worse.
But I mean, I don't know. I'd rather watch Quantumania than this. I never want to watch this again.
No.
I might watch Quantumania again for the memes.
MODOK.
He's just something we were saying about this. Funnily enough, we still ended up with like a near 5-hour stream. But I thought like this was it's so easy to just talk about this film because everything is so surface level. There's just nothing to dig into. So bad on its face. And there's just no difficulty with anybody recognizing it. This is the least controversial film ever. Like, it's just terrible.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.